everybody, and welcome back to another video from HSTV. And in today's video we are joined by a very special guest, Judith. Judith, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yep, so I'm Judith, as Heen said, and I'm just finished my first year at Strathclyde University, where I was studying accounting and business enterprise.
Cool. And you guys will probably see from the title and the outfit as well that I am a medical student at the University of Edinburgh, and I have also just finished my first year. So this video is really going to be comparing my life and Judith's life at university, and maybe even help you decide if you want to study medicine or maybe go down the business route. So yeah, are you excited?
Yes.
Okay,
ready.
Let's get on to it. Okay, so I guess the first question then is, why did we choose our degrees and what got us really interested? So Judith, why are you interested in business?
So it kind of started off in high school when I took businesses at National 5, and we had to do like a little tiny finance unit, and everyone's like, oh, this is so boring, and I did it. I was like, oh, I'm quite like this. It was just like putting in numbers. So then I decided to take accounting as a higher, and just found out that I really loved it and it all made sense, and that's kind of just what got me into it, and I decided that was maybe something I could see as a career, and then just decided to take it on to uni.
Nice. Yeah, no, that sounds really interesting, Judith. And I guess for me, I've always been interested in science and kind of helping people. I guess all jobs help people, but kind of making a difference to people's lives in a health care profession was something I was really interested in. And I actually wanted to be a dentist for a while, but then I switched over to being a doctor. So yeah, I mean, I think career exploration is the main thing. I think we would agree. So you know, it starts with subjects at school, and then you do a bit of reading around, and then see what you're interested in.
Yeah, I mean, I also had an opportunity to do this thing called Young Enterprise at school, where we had to like create a whole business and like actually sell it, and that's where the kind of business enterprise part of my degree came in, where I figured out I really enjoyed that, like looking into all the different products that are already out there and like pricing them, which is where the accounting comes in and everything. So that definitely really helped that I was able to do that in high school.
Fantastic. Okay, so after our degrees, by the way, how long is your degree, Judith?
It's 4 years.
4 years, okay, mine's is 6 years, which is great. So we'll go over the structure later on, but at the end of our degrees, what is your dream job, Judith?
So for me, I kind of have like a length that's going to go on. So coming out, I'm going to go to a company and be there for 2 to 3 years and study to become a thing called a chartered accountant, where you basically just have to do a bunch of other exams, and at the end of it, you're like qualified to do a lot more stuff than just being a normal accountant. And from that, I'd like to work my way up through a company, and ultimately the dream would be to run my own company one day, because I would love to be able to be a leader and get to build a company that really is going to maybe make a difference in the world, hopefully, and treat my employees really well and have that. Like, it's a weird thing to like dream of being a leader in that sense, but that is it for me. So when you're a chartered accountant and making loads of money, Judith, I will still be in university. But yeah, I mean, eventually I will become a doctor at some point, and a specialty that I'm interested in at the moment is cardiology, so I'm thinking about going down the cardiothoracic surgery route, but obviously I have plenty of time to decide, and you know, we might change over our years, so yeah. Okay, so we're actually just going to tell you a bit about our courses, just a rough breakdown, nothing too complicated. Obviously do go check out university websites for specific details, but yeah, so we're going to be talking about our degrees. So Judith, tell us about your degree. So what I went for is basically, it's accounting with anything else you can add to it. So it's 4 years. The first year is very broad. You have to do 5 different subjects. So I had to do accounting, finance, economics, business law, and oh, the 5th one was a choice. That was why I was confused. I chose to do business enterprise because I really enjoyed it, and that's the first year. And then the second year you narrow it down to 2 subjects, so I'm going to accounting and business enterprise, and that's for your second and third year. And then in your 4th year you decide what your actual degree is going to be. So I could decide that I'm actually going to just have a degree in accounting or just a degree in business enterprise. And then for exams, you've just basically got exams at the end of each year, or you also have assessments during it. So this year I was able to get exempt from exams in business law and economics because I got over 60% throughout the rest of the year.
Yep, and then after that, in the previous years, I'm not sure exactly what the exams will be like.
Yes, no. Yeah, I mean, for medicine at Edinburgh, it's a compulsory 6-year course. So you get like 2 preclinical years, mostly theory-based lectures. You do your physiology, anatomy, a bit of social and ethical parts of medicine, a bit of research, and a little bit of pharmacology as well. Not a lot of practical. Then in our 3rd year, it's called an intercalation. This is where you go off and do a different degree for 1 year, and you actually get honours in that. Then you have 4th, 5th and 6th year, which is actually your clinical year, so you're actually on placement and in the hospital doing all the practical skills. So long road. But in terms of assessment, so right now for our 1st year we just had our normal exams and actually a few essays to write as well. But after that, for the later years, we're going to be having practical exams called OSCEs, and yeah, so loads of things going on, but hopefully we get through it all. Okay, so the next thing we're going to be comparing is actually our timetables, so what we did throughout the day during term time. So Judith, tell us.
So I got off quite easy, really. I had, in terms of lectures, I had 2 hours of lectures for each of my subjects, and then an extra thing on the side called Management Development Programme, which took up 3 hours over the whole week. So I really only had about 25 hours of actual classes, and that was split up over a Monday and up to a Thursday. So Fridays end up having completely free. Own personal working time didn't take too long. It was only a couple hours per subject. So I normally would work from about 8:30 in the morning on a Monday till around 4:30, and then Thursdays I could normally finish about 12, 1 o'clock, and I'd get Thursday afternoon and Fridays completely free. And then when studying for exams, I had even more free time because I only had to do 3 of them, and they were so split up that I just did a couple hours each day. So it was a very easy first year relaxed, in terms, very relaxed.
Like, so for like revision, how many hours do you think sort of put in, or how many weeks of revision did you get?
I normally would do about 2 weeks per subject, right, because they were so split up that I was able to do 2 weeks for the first one and then had a big gap, so did 2 weeks for the next one and then 2 weeks for the final one. So probably over the time maybe like 20 hours of revision for the final exam. So definitely not a lot compared to some other classes.
So like, what about in terms of like high school to uni, like workload?
I would say high school definitely was a lot more, the workload was easier. I felt like there was more of it, like you had more volume, but it was a lot more simple, whereas business, like in university, I had to focus a lot all the time whenever I was working. It wasn't just like a nice breeze the whole time.
Yeah, no, I get that. I mean, like for medicine, we were expected to do like 40 to 50 hours a week. Now that could include weekends as well, because we just got given lectures and we just had to go through them ourselves independently. So it was really up to you what time you wake up, what time you go to sleep, whether you spend your weekends on lectures or other stuff. So it was quite hectic, I have to say, like especially for the first few weeks, getting used to the system and everything, and it was quite stressful, I'm not gonna lie to you. It was a lot of work compared to high school. I don't know, I wasn't that used to getting all this done, so yeah, I found it quite stressful in the beginning. I think towards the end, when I got used to the modules and everything, it wasn't so bad. In terms of revision, we got like, I don't know, I think like 6 weeks or something around that time, and it seemed like a lot. By the time we got to the end, I just wanted to do the exam and just get rid of it. So I think they gave us enough time for revision, but yeah, workload was definitely a lot, and it was a lot of studying. Like I remember there were days when I was like waking up at 7:30 in the morning and working with breaks for dinner and lunch in between, up to like 10, 11 o'clock at night. So in the beginning, quite bad, got used to it, and much better now. Alright guys, so the next thing we're going to be comparing is our expectations that we had going into our degrees, and did things meet our expectation, or what was different? So
I think things for me were definitely a lot different because my course ended up being entirely online this year due to COVID, as business wasn't really something we needed to be in class for. So I think I was quite surprised by how quiet people were whenever I had classes. I felt like I kind of presumed people like, oh, it's university, everyone's going to be a lot more out there and outgoing and be like, we're adults now and stuff. But it still felt a lot kind of like high school, how kind of timid people would be, and how people would just kind of stick to the same groups. In terms of classes, I think some things ended up being a bit easier than I thought, and with the lecturers, I think I was quite surprised by how much some of them didn't really care, like didn't seem to care much. They didn't really kind of keep in contact, other than like they would kind of do the lecture and that would be it. I kind of thought that you'd have a bit more of a relationship with them and with the teachers in general. That's like what I can think of right now.
Yeah, no, I think like obviously COVID did change a lot of things for us as well. A lot of our stuff was online, like lectures and tutorials and group work was all on video calls. I think I didn't really get to know my lecturers or like the people studying with me at all. It's just kind of a drawback, but hopefully next year. I guess in terms of workload, I was expecting a lot of workload because I've heard a lot of things about medicine being really hard, and so but it wasn't much of a shock, but the independence bit was quite a surprise for me, because in high school I feel like everything was very spoon-fed to you and you just got given homework, got expected, do this for tomorrow. Whereas like in university, I think we'll agree, it was all up to you, like, so you wake up when you want to. Like that was a big surprise for me after waking up at 6:15 every morning. So things like that, definitely it was different, but I think we've gotten used to it all now, right?
And I quite enjoyed some of that freedom of getting to plan my day, whereas I think for me, I like having everything planned and organized. So it worked quite well for me doing all from home. Like I kind of stuck to a timetable, but I think I was actually quite surprised by how much people didn't stick to things or didn't know what was going on. Like there was always group chats where people messaging in like, what's happening with this, when's this, how do you do this? And I was a little bit shocked that if you think that people, if they're going to uni, you'd think they'd want to do it, and there's quite a few people that I was surprised they just didn't seem like they really cared.
No, I agree with that. I think like organization was a big thing, so if you're not organized, it's the end. So moving on from that then, let's like reflect back on the best and the worst bits of our course in the past year.
Okay. Do you want to go first with this one, actually?
Sure. So I think like the best bit for me, it's going to sound quite cliched, but I actually really enjoyed learning about the human body. Like everything was really fascinating for me, and we did like a large chunk of cardiology, and that was my favorite unit. So I really enjoyed that. I guess the worst bit is also linked to that, but it was just a lot of like new terms. Like the Latin is unbelievable. Like a lot of the time, like what lecturers were saying, I had to translate half the stuff they were saying before I could go and understand it. So I guess that was the not so okay bit. But yeah, I mean on the whole I enjoyed the course, it was good.
I think if I'm going to start with worst bit, because it kind of relates to the whole translating, I had to, one of the things, I initially went in going for accounting and finance degree, and then I took the finance class. And it was just all formulas, and I quite enjoyed maths at high school, but the lecturer, it sounded like he was speaking a different language when he would talk, and he would go so quickly, everyone was always confused, and I just was like, no, this is not for me at all.
Are we keeping the lecturer's name secret?
Yes.
Are we keeping it public?
And then best bit, I've got quite a few. Doing the accounting lectures, because lecturer, he was really engaging, interesting, and it really clarified for me that like I really do love accounting. And then also I met some great people that we formed like a study group together that we would just like meet on just online on Zoom, and that was really helpful for some of the classes. And then also taking business enterprise, which I just thrown in as like, oh, that'll be a fun little extra. And figured out that I really enjoyed it. I loved the assessments we had to do in it. Like we had to make like a video explaining stuff. So that was definitely a great bit for me.
Fantastic. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is actually regrets from the past year. So like things that we wished could have gone better, or something we could have done better. So Judith.
So for me, I think I had to do a lot of group work for a lot of the subjects, and a lot of the time people would be really shy, and when we were talking about the work we had to do, I'd just be like, okay, it's fine, I'll just do it then, and I'll just do this. And I wish I had pushed people a lot more to probably participate, because I ended up feeling a little bit stressed when I was like, oh, I've got lots of work to do, and I felt a little bit bitter towards some of the people I was working with, being like, oh, they've not done anything. And then really, like, I would have just pushed and been like, I'm not doing this, so who else is going to do it? Someone has to step up. Come on.
Yeah, no, I think like COVID made that quite difficult
Yeah.
as well. Like in person, I feel like people are a bit more cooperative, but yeah, online, you know, some people having their cameras on, off,
Yeah.
mics on, off.
I had a lot of that problem with people just not turning up, or they would turn up, have their camera off, or just not speak at all. So I was always the first one being like, hello, how is everyone today?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think a regret for me is that in the beginning of the year, I wished I had joined more societies and like gotten more involved with talks and, you know, sports and things going on. I know it was difficult because of COVID and everything, but I felt like after I got into medicine, I just felt that I had reached my end goal and that was me done. I could relax and just do my degree, whereas it's not like that at all. Like I'm here trying to build my portfolio for like the next 10 years now. So, you know, it's just like, a tip I would say to you guys as well, when you go to uni, I know it's like a lot to take in, but just try and put yourself out there and join committees, even if you're not interested in them, because you might later on. But yeah.
Yeah, definitely good advice there. Meet people.
Yeah, well, if it's not COVID, because
Yes.
COVID makes that very difficult. Alright everybody, so I hope you have enjoyed this video. It's quite different. I hope you know, you haven't seen Judith before, so you know, you got to meet her as well, and hopefully she comes in future videos as well.
Yeah, it's been a fun experience.
So yeah, let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Medicine or business, which side are you on? And yeah, so I will see you all in my next video. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.